Okay, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, and the camera is on you.
Hands off my face.
Amy, you have to go there first.
I gotta go first.
Yes. You go first, I go second, Dee, you go third.
Okay, hopefully they can see me. Hi, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the July member meeting. Thank you for being here and joining us. We have a special guest today. Dee Britt is going to, looks like she's going to play us a little song, a little ditty, which I'm excited about. She's also our contest chair for this year, so we'll be announcing some more information on that. Make sure you're a member, which is $25 a year. To enter the contest, it's $10, and I think you can enter in multiple categories, but again, we'll send out all that information. It's also on our website, so make sure you check that out as well. And without further ado, I'm going to have the VP come up here and do a little intro, and then we'll get going.
I'm going to stand a little closer because I'm not quite as loud. Greetings. We obviously have a multi-talented person speaking today who both plays and writes. And Dee Britt is a new author, but you also learn a lot from a new author because, like I was telling her, publishing changes almost every year. And so the latest experience of somebody who is self-publishing or publishing with a company will tell you a lot about how it's changing for that year. I really like the fact that Dee got her inspiration from her work. A lot of times they say, write what you know. And although writing what you know may be boring, you can add to it and make it exciting like Dee has done. Her story, Fireside, is fictional, but her characters come from real life, come from her work as a physical therapist. And as a person recently going through physical therapy for my own recent surgery, I know patients talk a lot. They say things they don't tell anybody else. You'd think they were talking to their psychologist, not their physical therapist. And so I think her story of how she got the words together, how she went into publishing, her inspiration, and also the difficulties will be very challenging and rewarding for y'all to listen to. So without any more words, Dee Britt.
Thank you. Woohoo! I'm opening with a song, and it's intended to be fun. My friend Donna in the back has helped me so much with technical things and working through as an indie author. I don't know how many of you have experience working with KDP and that whole process, but as you upload things, it has the chasing circle. And usually toward the end it'll say checking your pagination. We must have seen that those words, I don't know, 30 times that day. And so we were rum-dum and kind of tired. And she said, checking your pagination, that sounds like that old song, Cherokee Nation. And so we were laughing, and she said, write some lyrics to that. And so that's where this comes out of. I used to do a lot of music, just performing, just myself. And so that's where this is coming from. Started with a pad and pencil. Idea sent from God. A little time and inspiration to get him in the author's knot. Some are larks and some are vampires. Manuscripts are numbered too. Trash is full of twisted paper. First draft to 92. Check your pagination. Margins on the side. Check your trim and font. So proud to write. Just when you think it's almost finished, point of view intenses shift. it's enough to crack the bottle. It's gonna be a heavy lift. Now the corpus in alignment, front, the back, and spine. Looking for those writing gremlins, page by page and line by line. Check your pagination on the side. Check your trim and font. So proud to write. Proud to write. Pagination. All right.
That's awesome.
So, and if you haven't had an experience with pagination yet, just wait, and you'll remember that song. You'll remember the song. All right. A little dry. All right, so I'm actually kind of a pinch hitter, and when I started trying to get my thoughts together, I thought, what do I have that would really be relevant to people, people in this category? Because I'm a newbie. I mean, I'm a way newbie, and a lot of people in here have published a lot. A lot of people they're more advanced than I am. So I thought really my little niche here was lessons learned as a debut indie author, and find your passion, find your way. As I was looking through some of this stuff, I looked for some quotes. There was a famous author who said this: I decided that I would write one story about each thing that I knew about. And when I read that, I just started laughing because, this is a really famous author. And I thought, if this was in critique group, we would just be jumping all on that, because it doesn't flow. We've got about at the end and several things. Does anybody take a stab at who you think said that? Who would say that? That's Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
And I was looking, I had seen some other quotes he had done, and I knew, one of his big things is kind of what Kathleen had alluded to a while ago. He I've seen things before. He's big on write what you know. Write what you know, and that is basically, what he is saying there. And that's kind of what I did. I started from that perspective. As I was going through, I was kind of thinking, a lot of this was reflective on my part, and I even learned a little bit about myself through this. And I thought to myself, I started the book for fun, because it was a lot of fun writing it. And I think a lot of people, and I almost was one of those people that kind of fall along the side when it gets arduous, and when the hills get high and you have many things that come against you, it becomes suddenly not so fun, And so I thought, I started this because of the fun, but I know in my heart that I finished it because of passion. Passion for the people I'm writing about, and passion for the people who may be reading the book. So I think for anybody who's coming in new, and maybe even people who have been writing a long time but kind of have lost their zing for it, you got to get back to the passion, because that is what carried me through, along with a lot of really, really talented people. So I feel like you start a book for the fun of it, you finish a book inspired by the passion you feel, either for the subject of the book or the people that might read it. I also thought a minute, and I know there's a lot of people, and Amy's one of them, that she's writing a book right now that she's had to do a lot of research for it, So I don't think it necessary, either something that you know in your heart, you have good experience, or something that you are willing to research to the point that you have almost equal knowledge to somebody that's firsthand experience. There's a pretty wide variety of folks in here, and I'm just curious. My passion, coming from my work, is I have a real passion for elders. The stories they've lived, the life lessons they've taught me has been so valuable to me. But just, if you guys wouldn't mind, who in here, let's shout out something, what's somebody passionate about? What makes you want to write? Anybody?
I love stories of resilience with the human spirit.
Overcoming.
Mhm.
Me too. That's some of the stuff that these elders have really, because they've overcome. They've seen a lot I haven't.
Many of my stories are making up for a fault or an error or suffering that a person has caused another person.
Oh, yeah. Great.
So my hero is not all that great of a person at the beginning.
Right.
Not
Oh,
a
good.
hero, yes.
Right. I get it. Great. Again, kind of a turnaround
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. Anybody else? Anybody into, what are you into?
Social issues.
What?
Social issues.
Social issues. Oh, yeah, you've got a large library to work from on that, don't you? Yes. I like it. Anybody into romance, love stories, mysteries?
Mysteries, thrillers.
Thrillers. You know, I have figured out, I thought my interest was so narrow, and then after participating in a critique group, I've realized I really enjoy a lot of stuff I didn't think I would. So it's kind of interesting. Either one of you guys, what are you into? Mysteries or history? One of.
Kind of cross genres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not into like sci-fi fantasy. I don't
Right.
even like court drama thrillers, but
Right.
I'm just opening up my mind to so many different things. The critique group for definitely, but just, you know, I get all these advanced reader copies or just
Yeah.
copies from people, and then like Bill Bernhardt's books about,
Yes.
you know, Daniel Pike, and I'm like, I don't know anything about court drama, but it's
Right.
very fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, very cool. So I'm just bringing that up because I have a feeling myself that as time goes, if I ever decide that I want to do something in addition to Fireside, or I just want to do something new, I know that in my purpose, in my writing, whether it turns out to be another genre, there will be a thread of a very resilient, very funny, very strong elder in all of my work, because that's what I want to show. The resilience and the overcoming spirit of elders. Let's see, what's on the next one, Kathleen?
Write what you know.
And the next one?
Okay. Oops. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I'm way past that, so we may just leave that going, and I'll keep talking. My writing purpose, yeah. The James Johnson story. We're caught up. I'm sorry. So, bouncing off of what I was just talking about, my purpose. I'm a physical therapist. I've been a PT for 36 years, and started out in sports medicine. I've treated a lot of athletes, but then as I got more into treating elders, I mean, I just have really grown to enjoy working with them and how the resilience, as we've talked, and their life stories. So in this first book, Fireside, the James Johnson story, Fireside is an assisted living center. And there's a host of kind of very unique, wacky characters that live there and keep things interesting at the assisted living center. There's an Auschwitz survivor. There's a nurse who wears tattoos, red hair, smokes, and she is the best nurse you've ever met, and all the residents love her in spite of her tattoos. A money-hungry administrator. And then this new guy moves in, James Johnson. He had an amputation, and was in his younger years, he fell in love. He's a black sharecropper. In the 1950s, he fell in love with his high school sweetheart, who's a petite white girl that came from a broken home. So there are flashbacks. It shows him in current day battling his amputation. It has flashbacks into the years ago when he and Estelle literally fought for their relationship. It also has humor, it also has all the components of life, but it is a true story that involves social issues. It involves a love story. It involves some twists and changes and a bit of mystery, but it's all about James Johnson's life. James Johnson is actually a compilation of different people. He's not a single person I treated, but multiple people. The next part is a little bit funny, but it's all true, unfortunately. Yes, this one. Random lessons I've learned since I really started trying to write. The first one is actually true. There's no longer two spaces after a period.
I told my husband that yesterday, and he was like, "What?"
Yeah, I know. It's like, are you serious? This has changed my life. Anybody know Carolyn Leonard?
Yes.
Okay. So she's a little bit later, I'll talk a little bit more about Carolyn Leonard, but she and I were walking down the street, and she was like, "Do you have your stuff together?" You know, just being a great friend. And she was just running down a laundry list of make sure before you go to this conference, these things don't happen. She said, just make sure you don't have two spaces after your period, or they're not even going to pick it up. And I was like, I stopped walking. I was like, oh, you serious? So that's a true thing. And the next is just funny. Point of view is not the highest point of a mountain. I would have told you it was probably a couple of years ago. I learned the protagonist needs a flaw, the antagonist needs a redeeming quality, and the next one is actually true. When I was just throwing notes together, I didn't even know what a character arc was, you know? I just knew what this guy was going to go through. I know where he started, what he was going to go through, and where I wanted him to end. And after it was like one of those white knuckle things. It's like, I don't think my story has a character arc. And I looked and it did. So yes. So I realize now character arc is important. And actually one of the things that this is not so funny, but is very much a truth, is that the more I wrote, the more I realized how much I needed to improve. That if I was really going to try to do this, that I needed to get serious about change, because I wasn't good enough. And if I wanted to really do this right, I needed to improve. Songwriting and poetry, I think, is a really big tool that everybody can use. You don't have to perform anywhere, but trying to put words into a rhythm and make it concise. You don't even have to consider the melody, but when you do that, it makes you really cut out the dead wood. You know, describe it briefly and get an emotion engaged in that. So that's something that we'll look at here in a minute. I'm a pantser. No, the one before that, I learned my strengths and weaknesses. I leaned into my strengths, and thank goodness. I feel like God has placed some people in my path. Amy is one of them. Carolyn Leonard is another one, and Allie Robertson or Alicia Dean is another. But these people, they never made me feel stupid. They knew I wanted it pretty bad. They just took me under their wing, and I'm so humbled that they just never quit on me. And so in the middle of that, I learned that where I was weak, I needed to lean on people that were strong and stay committed. You know, I don't want people to carry me the rest of my life. I'm going to get strong on my own, but when I couldn't do it, they helped me. I'm a pantser by nature. I've always been. You can ask Donna. She can ask me in the morning, what are you doing today? And I'll say, I'll let you know. I don't know. I'm a pantser by nature. I found out I'm a lark. I write in the morning best. I've never been a vampire. I don't function well at night. I heard Stacy Monty say she was neither a lark nor a vampire. She's a robin and works best at midday. So moving on to things, there's the next one, I think, Kathleen, is the valuable lessons, not the, yeah. The first thing that Carolyn Leonard told me, well, I'll just tell her little story right now. It is later in the outline, but I met Carolyn, and if you know her, I think this will resonate. I didn't know her well, but I met her, what are you doing? And she said, I'm an author and I have a new book coming out, and this smile just flashes. And she just, makes you feel so comfortable. And I said, well, I've started a book. And that was like back in the note-taking age, with my book. And she said, well, we have a OWFI conference coming up. You need to finish it, enter it in a contest, and pitch it to people. And I don't know what it was about her, but she made me think I could really do that. And so I got my stuff together. I got that all together, and I did enter it. She was the first person that I think God placed in my path to just get me to take 2 steps closer. And had I seen what it took to go the full length, I don't know that I would have done it. But she's the one that got me going to writers' conferences, and I don't think that there's another 3-day experience that will change your writing more than that. And I think it's because of networking, making friends, and just putting yourself in an environment that has hundreds of people that have your same goal. I mean, you kind of suck off their energy. You're not quite as inhibited when you're in that environment. It made me develop an elevator pitch, a 5-minute pitch, taglines, all these things. And even though pitches are nerve-wracking, they may or may not be positive, they make you learn your stuff. And they make you let down your defenses and present your book with confidence. So I'm big on making sure you do some pitches, even if you may not have the goal of garnering a huge contract or something. Just getting your confidence up. And as Kathleen mentioned a while ago, things change so fast now. It wasn't that long ago that it was kind of a diss if you were going to be an indie author. It's like you're taking scraps or you're the B team. There's a lot of people now that have been offered contracts that choose to not do it. Now, there's positives on both sides. It's a lot of hard work to do the indie route, and the traditional route takes care of much of that. There's a lot of gives both ways. But it can help you decide, what do you want to do? Do you really want to be traditionally published? Or do you want to go the indie route? The next thing down the line, finding mentors that critique and uplift you. I think while I was thinking about this part, that's probably one of the most important things because it follows you through your life. I think it's a real unique thing to find somebody who is a mentor or a critique partner that has the gift of good critique, but also doesn't crush your spirit, and there's people who are extremely good at being cheerleaders and uplifting, and they may struggle at giving constructive criticism. So if you find somebody who can do both, then you're really blessed. And, again, that's another kind of God-given thing that fell to me. I'm in a critique group that has just really diverse people. We're all over the country, really. And, but really blessed that everybody gives really good feedback, but nobody steps on your heart either. So when I think it's important to have critique when you're looking for somebody. There's nothing wrong with, you choose who you want to critique with, and you may really get along well with one and not another, and choose people that you really jive with. I want to tell a little story or give an example of this. As a physical therapist, over 36 years, I've treated a lot of people that had major injuries, like paraplegics, head injuries, significant injuries, as well as just sports injuries. And I like to throw this in right now where we're talking about being uplifting critique people. Because in my experience being a physical therapist, there's 2 kinds of injury. One kind of injury is like the actual injury. You've torn a muscle, you've had a brain injury, some things like that. If you face failure with an injury, there's always a second chance. There's always a way to work around. There's always a second chance. You just try again. The patients that I had that for whatever reason, maybe it was a family member, maybe it was just life, had slapped them down so hard that they really couldn't see hope. But the people that had an emotional injury, those people didn't think outside the box. So a good example of this, I have worked with athletes who, like one example, I worked with a cool, he's still a friend of mine today, a little person, a dwarf, who fell and became a paraplegic. Okay? He was already competing at a high level in the Paralympics with weightlifting. After I treated him for that, for his paraplegia, I became his coach for the Paralympics for weightlifting. He could have said, I'm not going to do it again, because his legs didn't work. We just switched him around so that he didn't focus on his legs and he focused on bench press. He won a gold medal at the Paralympics. Lenny Clark lives in Choctaw, still around this area. Gives me goosebumps when I think about how hard he worked. There are marathon runners that lose their sight. They still run marathons because they have a guide runner. There's snow skiers who fall, become a paraplegic. They still ski in a ski chair. So those people had a physical type injury, but their emotional health stayed resilient. Anytime somebody, and it's good for us to remember this with our riding friends, but just in life in general, you know, if you can give somebody hope, then you've given them another chance. And so, again, I revolve back to the people who have helped me that didn't strip me of my hope. They always gave me the thought that I could get better. And the other thing about critique groups that I think has basically changed me is you make a commitment to that group. So if you have to stay up till 2 a.m., you get your deadline, you hit your deadline, you stay up, your deadlines and your timeliness, it just holds you to a standard. And a standard that before I was in a critique, probably if I didn't feel like it, I didn't write. You know, now I stick to my deadlines. So, and the go-to resources, we were talking about this, Kathleen, too, that was the last one there. A lot of resources, check your friends. The Chicago Manual of Style 17 is the current grammar and punctuation guide for fiction. There's a different one for history.
For nonfiction?
Yeah. APA?
APA.
APA for the nonfiction.
And AMA too.
Okay.
They're, depending on what level you're in and whether you're doing academics
Okay.
or whether you're doing general public, there are different
Okay.
ones.
Okay. APA and AMA if it
AMA is academics.
is academics.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide.
I'm there.
Okay. 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 I think I got the, that's okay? I think I'm kind of behind. I'm going to move on forward just a little bit. I'm going to touch briefly on some things that I have used to help my creative flow. Things everybody else does. I know when I write best, so I get up early. I get my coffee. I don't go start the news, because if I start the news, my butt's in that recliner. Gotta get up. Go to my desk. And make sure my environment is right. Temperature, my desk is not cluttered. And a little trick I learned, some of you guys may know this is from my grad school days, but when I would study for an exam, I picked out peppermint candy, hard candy. It's not something I ate or used any time other than when I was studying. So I would put in the peppermint while I was studying for the test. When I finished studying, I took it out of my mouth. When I went into the exam, I put the peppermint in while I took the test. There is a little bit of research that shows that your senses connect to an activity. So it honestly helped me remember stuff. So you can do it with taste. You can also do it with scent. Put on a perfume while you're studying or whenever you're writing, and only use that scent when you're writing. And I need sleep. I have to have sleep. If I don't get my sleep, I can't even write my name. I think the next thing I want to talk about just a little bit, and we'll be close to the end because I think we're close to where I need to finish up.
Oh, you got plenty of time, honey.
Do I? Okay. Okay. So I'll still move on to this because I the next thing that was on the list, and I kind of riffed a little bit and got off on the people who support me. I had a whole section on that, but I alluded to that a while ago. The next thing, I want to ask you guys, now I think I'm not the only one that this has happened to, but it just happened to me for the first time. Well, I was getting all of this together, and just before, probably on my 90th edit, I realized that James, the lead character in my book, was, don't take this in a weird way, was kind of speaking to me. Okay, and I think maybe it comes from our conscious, subconscious, we're, dealing with things or whatever. But there's a scene in the book where Ginger, the wild child nurse, has lost everything. She has no home, she has no money. A tragedy happens and she loses literally everything. She's in the dining room, her head is on her forehead, she's literally crying, and she's working on a budget, trying to figure out how in the world she's going to get on her feet. And that budget had the haves and the needs. Well, James, who kind of considered himself the caretaker of everybody from a distance, was in there getting tea, and he saw her, so he rolled over in his wheelchair and he said, "Hey, Ginger, what's up? Are you okay?" And I want to read a little bit from here. It so resonated with me for where I was. James marked through everything that he's looking at her list, her budget list. James marked through everything on the list except food, rent, and utilities. He then marked out the amount she jotted in for food. He cut it in half. Ginger sat there painfully speechless. Ginger raised a finger. "No way, no gas, I've got to get to work." James countered, "Walk." Ginger bantered, "How can I get by on only $150 for food?" He said, he debated, and he said, "I have a garden, I'm going to give you vegetables." So they continue this back and forth. He brings up a thing, she debates, he cuts her down. And then finally he looks at her and he says, "Ginger, how bad do you want it?" And then she would say something else. He would stop and look at her, "Ginger, how bad do you want it?" And then he said, "You have been given a great opportunity to change the way you see your life. There is nothing that you cannot do, Ginger, nothing. When you change the way that you see haves and needs, you take control of your life. Ginger, how bad do you want it?" And so from that's when, I read that and I was like, you know what, Dee? You said you wanted to be a writer. You said you wanted to do these things, but you haven't even changed your life. And after that, I get up early. I do work. I'm still a physical therapist. I get up and I write probably 2 hours, write or do book stuff for probably 2 hours before I go to work. And the critique group, it has kept me timely. So hearing and reading James' words that I wrote, I just knew I wrote them for myself. And for anybody else who is in a position where you're kind of in a bind. How bad do you want it? So I think that last little thing, I'm moving along. So I think, looking back on this, I was really, really nervous to talk to writers more experienced than me. Because I don't have much new to really show you. Maybe the peppermint thing was a little new. Tuck that away. But as I kept thinking on that, I thought, you know what? There may be a lot of new authors who are right where I am. Don't give up. Don't give up. Find your passion. I think it helps if you find your passion first and then find your way. How do you find your way? You connect with people, and they're going to show you the way. Writers are generous people, by and large. They've been there. So I think that's a really important thing to remember. And it can be, I used to be an athlete. Writing, the discipline of writing, now that I've become disciplined with it, is not a whole lot different than the discipline of an athlete. You get better by practice. You practice the things that you're not good at, those kind of things. So I think it even relates to life, honestly. I don't know if there's anybody here or anybody that may be, on the camera. But if you're in a place where you think you might not have it to finish, there's always a way to finish. Reach out to people. Find a different route. Don't do it the same way. Maybe there's a different way. And for me, traditional publishing didn't work, so I'm happy. I'm happy being an indie author, and I'm proud of it. So, and I can say here, the last part of this part of the presentation is, I can really say that after I wrote this presentation, after making these changes, I found that I no longer really viewed myself as a physical therapist who liked to write. I found out that I viewed myself as a writer who has a side job as a physical therapist. So I hope this has been a little bit helpful for somebody. I do have a writing exercise if we have time. Yes, I?
Yep.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, so like I took Cherokee Nation and I wrote Check Your Pagination. The songs, oh, no, if you guys can see, the songs on the left are melodies that do handle lyrics pretty easily. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, House of the Rising Sun, Imagination, Margaritaville, or pick your own, it doesn't matter. Topics, fishing, riding a motorcycle, graduation day. An example might be Suspicious Minds and fishing on a Saturday. It might be, I sat on a rock, the worms on the hook, you know, something like that. Write about one of these topics and try to fit it into the rhythm of the words. And you don't worry about the melody, but it's really a lot of fun. So we'll take what, about 10 minutes? 10 minutes, is that a good thing? And I'm going to pick a new one and try to put something together. And after that, if anybody feels brave, we'll see what people have come up with.
You're singing it for us, though, right?
Ah!
We're not singers here. All right, so the songs are
Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head,
okay.
or House of the Rising Sun,
Imagine.
Margaritaville, Suspicious Minds, Hey Jude, or My Way. And there's a whole bunch of topics. I just threw out the first things that were on my mind, but fishing, riding a motorcycle, graduation day, a daughter's or son's wedding. Oh, that's not supposed to be bae. That's supposed to be seeing your baby for the first time. A runaway and a first date.
And when you use it as baby, it's B-A-E anyway.
Do you
heard people?
They do say bae.
Bae, yeah.
Bae, yes.
That's, I guess,
Like
Generation Z, they'll say bae, but that's B-A-E.
Gotcha.
I never
That's
use
like an
it.
endearing term, right? Bae?
Yeah, sort of.
You're my bae?
You're my bae. It's basically baby.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Oh, there you go. We'll go to 11. got about 3 minutes left to work on it. Okay, let's kind of get your closing thoughts together. Anybody ready to give it a go?
Only
Eventually.
we sing it.
Well, I'll speak it. I'll speak it. Or sing it if it's kind of halfway in between.
You can read my chicken scratch. You're welcome to.
Okay.
It's about Imagine, or it's based on Imagine
Okay.
song, and it's about fishing.
Oh! Oh, this is great. Imagine there's no fishing. It's easy if you try. No fish below us. Around us we cry. Imagine all the rivers running dry, so dry. Imagine there's no wormies. It isn't hard to try. It's hard to do. Hot Oklahoma weather, they shrivel up, die too. Imagine all the rivers flowing over land. You may say I'm a naysayer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and go fishing for fun. Imagine no hooks or lines. I wonder if you can. No need to detangle a brotherhood of dams. Imagine all the rivers sharing all the lands. You may say I'm a naysayer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and all the world will live as one. That was excellent.
No, you sang it.
Wow, that was cool.
You want to
I
try
didn't
this
even
one?
get that much. You want to do
Okay.
it?
I'm not singing it. Of course not. It is the refrain from Margaritaville.
Okay, got it.
And I had to write it out on the bottom, but you just do the top 4 lines. Maybe it'll fit, maybe
Okay.
it won't.
Okay, there's only a few here. Are we doing the wasting? Wasting.
No way, the refrain from it, way in Margaritaville.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It may not fit.
There's a. I can't remember how the first part goes.
Wasted away in Margaritaville. I cannot sing,
Yeah.
sorry.
There's only a few here, but it still counts. Looking for lost friends from the past. See, I'm screwing it up. I'm just going to read it.
Okay,
Okay. There's only a few here, but it still counts.
that's
Looking-
wasting away in Margaritaville. It's only a few here. I can't sing, so never mind.
There's only a few here. Anyway, I lost it.
I'll get it. I'll get it back again.
Yep.
I finally learned how this phone works. Okay.
Well, we have one comment on here.
Uh-oh.
From Carolyn.
Oh, hey, Carolyn.
She said, Dee is not only a good writer, but also the best and most knowledgeable physical therapist we ever met. And now we can add speaker to her list of accomplishments.
Oh, give her hearts.
Yes.
She's kind. We've,
Stacey thinks it's a fun exercise.
yeah.
We should make her sing.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So maybe this will fit in better now.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Only a few here, but it still counts. Looking for lost friends from the past. Come to celebrate your big day and the rest of your life. Wasted away in Margaritaville.
That is
And
to the
that's it.
tune. That's it. That's just
Yeah.
the end. I'm sorry.
No, that's
I
good.
could do.
No, that's good. Very good. Okay, who else? Anybody else got one? Okay, I scratched down about a son's wedding with Hey Jude. Hey John, I love you so. You were 13 and now you're married. Remember to give her all of your heart. Then you will start to love your lady. Hey John, you are my son, with a penchant for all that glitters. Remember the words and actions count, then you will sound like one who gets hurt.
Yay!
All right. All right. Well,
Do we have any questions for Miss Dee here? Anyone? I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're writing your second Fireside
Yep.
book. How are you approaching the second book compared to the first one?
Oh, there's some different stuff. Yeah. Because the first one really, I've heard other people, in fact, I think when Alicia Dean was here and actually Kennedy, we had somebody, Kennedy, who writes scenes and puts scenes in pockets and then switches them around.
Vicky.
Vicky.
Malone Kennedy.
Got you, Malone Kennedy. In the beginning, the first one, James Johnson, I had written it, and then I realized a lot of things were not in a good sequence. So it was like, I switched it all around. And the basic components I really didn't understand. I was just writing what I knew, you know. And so starting on, the next book is the West Lion story. And I am a pantser, and I can't get away from that, but I did know that I needed a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I knew the kind of things I wanted Wes to experience, and the character arc and stuff for him. It has changed. Everything has really changed when I started getting up in the morning and writing, and just making it a priority, because at the end of the day, doing what I do, sometimes I'm so darn tired, you know. So if I make room in the morning to write, that has changed a lot for me to keep it going. And you know, just the little things that I some of it I intuitively did, but I didn't know it had a name. You know, like putting a flaw with the main character, you know, and making the villain have a redeeming quality and all of that. So. Some of it, I think the two main things was really making sure I did plan a little, so that I knew where things were going to go, and then just changing my schedule so I wrote in the morning. Most important things, and I think it, you know, my plan is it's going to be a better book. Isn't that what everybody says? The next one's going to be better. The next one's going to be better. So that's the only thing I would say. So.
Where can we find your books? And where's your next author signing?
Okay, you can, there's Kindle, large print, and regular print on Amazon right now. I've got a book signing in Anadarko on the 6th of August, August the 8th. That's at the library in Anadarko. A multi-author signing on August the 8th at Hollywood Corner. I'll be doing a book signing by myself, but I'm having a music jam, so some of my other friends that do music, they're going to hopefully, they say they're going to show up, but musicians, you never know. So they're supposed to come. We'll have a good jam and sign books and just have fun out there. I don't have a date yet. I'm doing one in Ponca City. Anything else you can think of, Donna? No?
I think we're going to try to get you out to Full Circle Bookstore also.
Oh yeah, I'm going to make sure that I call them the 18th of August.
Perfect.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. But anyway, and if other things come up, I have found it's a kind of an interesting thing. I didn't expect it, but there have been more than one. There's a place out in Luther that has a music venue, and it seems like they don't. They're like, well, if you'd sing a little bit, we'll. You can sign books at the set break. So we'll see if that works out.
So for newbies, what advice can you give them to do their own book tour if they're indie?
Yeah, I think number one, this is what I do, and I'm falling back on what I learned for booking bands, really. When I walk in, I make sure that I know something about the place where I am. I don't go in cold and just I'll say I know you have done book signings. I know what kind of know something about the business you're going in to talk to. It's good if you know the person. Find out their name before you go up. I've even asked people, is that the head guy? What's his name again? I can't remember. Because a lot of times I've met him. I can't remember. So that it shows you care enough to do your homework before you go in there. And I always make it feel like they have a win and I have a win. I want to put my book out there, but it's like, I'll tell them, I'm putting up advertising all over the place. People are going to see your name. They're going to see a picture of your facility or your business all around. Anywhere that I put stuff up, and I said, it's free advertisement for you, and it doesn't cost you anything. Just give us a table, And, when you approach it that way with confidence, I think confidence is a big thing. Because if you go up and you're not even sure of it yourself, they don't want any part of that. They don't want to put their name on that. But they don't mind putting their name on somebody who just presented themselves well. They come up, and if I see somebody, they present themselves well to me, then they know that whoever comes up, they don't mind you being associated with their name. So that's how I've gone about that in the past, and so
Great advice.
yeah. Well, everybody, it's been good, but I've got to be honest, I'm glad it's over.
You did great.
Thanks, y'all. Oh Lord.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up a little bit early today. Dee does have copies in the back for her if you'd like to purchase and sign. And I actually have started reading it, but I haven't finished it. Shame on me, but I'm excited to finish it because it's awesome already.
Oh, good.
Yes. So, anyways, books are available on Amazon
And Ingram Spark eventually,
Yeah.
that's been a rub.
yeah.
So,
But you've got your ISBN number, so
Yes.
any online retailers, any libraries, any independent bookstores, they can get it.
Okay, sweet.
All right. Ciao, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right.
I do have a question about the organization.